So this guy is a photographer, and this happened to him around a time where he didn't have a lot of work, so he had a lot of downtime and he was home and bored. He lives with his mom and sister and they weren't home at the time, so he decided to go outside. He went to the side of the yard where there were 2 trees and a hammock in between them, and also because he could see the rabbits that they had as pets there. But as he's rocking back and forth on the hammock, he's starting to hear ruffling from above and leaves start falling on him. He said that he looked up there and nothing's there, no one's there, there's no animals, and then he started to hear like something running around him. But he was like, whatever, it's just the rabbits that are running around. He says that he decided to get up and look at the rabbits and wanted to know why they were running around like that. But when he looked at them, they weren't running around. They were actually looking very scared and almost going to like a corner. He also mentioned that there was no predators there. Like that's why they felt so safe having those rabbits out in the backyard, because there's nothing that would harm them there. However, he thought to himself, what if there is something here and I'm just not seeing it because it's hiding, and he didn't want whatever it was to harm the rabbits. So he had a bright idea. He had 2 iPhones and he decided that he was gonna leave them out there, and he downloaded applications on his phone where if he was inside, he can monitor the rabbits, and if something was harming them, he was gonna get to the bottom of it. So the phone that he had inside with him was his mom's phone, and he had been monitoring the rabbits, and he ended up falling asleep. When he wakes up, again, he picks up that phone to make sure nothing had happened to the rabbits, but he noticed that there was only 1 phone. So he immediately goes outside, and indeed, there was only 1 phone. That other phone was no longer there. And again, he lives with his mom and his sister. Those are the only 2 other people living in that house. So he thought to himself, oh, it had to have been my sister. So he was like, oh, whatever, when I see her, she'll give it back to me. And later on that day, he sees his sister and he's like, hey, can you return my phone, please? And his sister was like, what are you talking about? I don't have your phone. She was like, I actually just got home, so no, I don't have your phone. And he's like, please stop playing around. I'm asking nicely. Just give me my phone back. So she insists that she did not take his phone. So he's like, okay, well, maybe my mom took it, but I doubt it. So he goes to his mom and his mom's like, no, I didn't take your phone. So by this point, it had been a few days that he didn't have his phone. However, there was something very weird. He had the Find My Phone feature on both of the iPhones that he had put outside. And when he went to go look, because obviously it's going to tell him where it's at, the app was telling him that his iPhone was right where he left it, outside. At that moment, he was like, oh my god, my sister buried my phone there. At this point, he's pissed off, but he goes outside, starts trying to dig his phone out, and there is nothing there. And now he's like looking up because he's like, is it somewhere hanging? Where is this phone? Because the app is still telling him that it's right there. At this point, he's annoyed, but he's like, whatever, she's gonna have to give me that phone at one point or another. So 2 days pass and it starts raining. And now he is like angry because the thing says it's out there. He doesn't know if it's buried or where it's at. So he goes to his mom and sister and he's like, look, I really need that phone. You guys, if this is a joke, it has gone way too far. It's raining. If my phone is out there buried, I'm gonna have to buy a new one. I don't want to have to do that. Please just give me the phone back. Both his mom and sister are insistent that they never took his phone, that they would have given it to him. They never took anything, and they're trying to convince him because they didn't take it. So at that point, the mom tells him, look, I know you don't believe in this. Take some candy, go outside where you left the phone, and say this: I don't want to play anymore, give me back my stuff. And he was like, oh my god, mom, please, I am not gonna do that dumb thing. Please stop playing with me. I know one of you guys have my phone, so give it back. I'm not gonna go do that. So he was like, long story short, weeks have passed at this point, and I couldn't get my phone, and I was not about to go do what my mom told me to go do because I don't believe in that. Periodically, he would go back on the app to see if the phone was still marked outside, and again, the phone was telling him that it was still out there. So on a Sunday, he wakes up very early and he looks around, nobody is home. He checks the app, it still says that it's out there, so he decides that he's finally gonna do what his mom told him to do. However, he said that he was gonna keep it secret because he didn't want them to know that he was gonna try to do it. So he says that he saw some candy that had been left over from like the parties in December. He grabbed the candies, he went to the spot. He felt like a dumbass, but he threw the candy in the spot and said, I don't want to play anymore. Please return my stuff. He went back in and said that after a while he just forgot about it. That day he went to get groceries. He did have a job, so he went to take some photos. So when he gets back home, he sits on his bed and he picks up his phone and he checks to see if that phone was still out there. However, this time the phone was showing exactly where he was and not outside anymore. He gets up, puts his hand in between like the pillows, and he finds his phone. He was like, I was in shock because nobody saw me do this. My mom, neither of them knew that I had done this. I'm gonna have to keep this in case I lose anything. But what do you guys think? I freaking love Duende stories, but like, he was so hard-headed. He could have had his phone like months ago.